Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar with Australian Museum of Design. I'm Anna, I'm one of the campaign managers here at Birchal, and I'm joined here by the team from Australian Museum of Design. Before I hand over to them to introduce themselves, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that I'm beaming in from today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Now, Birchal is working with the Australian Museum of Design on an upcoming crowdsource funding offer. What is crowdsource funding, you might ask? You may also know it as equity crowdfunding, and it's a relatively new form of fundraising in Australia that allows startups, small or growing businesses to raise capital from a large number of smaller or retail investors and wholesale and sophisticated investors through an online platform like Birchal. Instead of seeking funding from traditional sources such as banks or venture capitalists, companies can turn to the general public, often their communities or customers, to raise money in exchange for shares or equity in their business. Now, Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary for the offer, and the information and discussion in this webinar is for informational purposes and should not be considered as advice or a recommendation to invest. Please do your own research. Always consider the offer document and the general CSF risk warning before investing. That's all available on birchal.com, which I dare say is how you've all found yourselves here today. Now, just a little bit of quick info about how today will run. The team is going to take us through a great presentation, and we'll then switch to a question and answer time. So if you've got any questions, you'll notice at the bottom of your screen there's a little Q&A bubble. Please pop your questions in there as we're going along, and then we'll have time to answer these at the end. And we are recording today's session, so if you do have to jump off early, we totally get it. Everyone's really busy. A recording will be sent around afterwards. And that is enough from me. I'm thrilled to introduce Margot, Randall and Emma from the Australian Museum of Design. Over to you, team.
Thank you so much, Anna. Hi, everybody. My name is Margot, and I am the founder and CEO of the Australian Museum of Design. And I am so grateful and thankful that you've given up some of your time today to join us and learn a little bit about what we are, what we're doing, and most importantly, what our future holds. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to our team. Randall Walker. Randall and I have been friends for many, many years. And I think that's actually a bit of a backstay when you start up a new business or an organization, is that you've got absolutely people that you can rely on as part of your team. And Randall is definitely that person. And same with Emma. Emma and I have known each other equally for a very long time. And when you can trust people that you work with in a business, speaks volumes. Just a quick handover. Randall, over to you to quickly introduce yourself.
Look, very quickly, Margot, I know everyone will be keen to get into the information you're going to share. I just want to say I'm delighted to be involved with the Australian Museum of Design. Obviously, it's a great team to work with, Margot and Emma, but it's such an exciting opportunity, which Margot will speak into. My key role as a senior part of the team is marketing and public relations, and at the core of that is taking this exciting proposition to the world. That's a very, very exciting journey for us to be on, and thank you for being a part of today with us.
Terrific. Thanks, Randall. Emma, just quick hello from you.
Hi, I'm Emma, Emma Brown. I'm Director of Finance and Compliance. So I'm enjoying working with Randall and Margot very much as we work through this process, and look forward to taking this forward.
Terrific. So as Anna mentioned, we've got a bit of a slide presentation that we're going to take you through today to give you an overview of who we are and how we've come about to be here. So taking you on the first slide. So a bit of background, the Australian Museum of Design is home to Australia's most significant recently discovered treasure trove of more than 7,500 original hand-drawn designs from the 60s, 70s and 80s predominantly. And we're embarking on a capital raise opportunity to help us continue to scan and digitize all of those hand-drawn designs. So I actually came across these designs stored in a studio in St. Peter's, and we have been working in that studio, which is where all of the action is. And we take all of the designs out, we scan them, we digitize them, and remind you, these are all hand-drawn on layers upon layers of different film acetate. So sometimes you might have a very complex design that might take about 12 different layers to continue to scan. So it's not a quick half-hour job, scan it and digitize it. You've actually got to have quite a lot of skill to do that justice. So all of that takes place in our studio at St. Peter's, and I know that there are a lot of people who are very keen to come along and have a look at that. And we are inviting people to come to the studio on Sunday, so more information on that soon. With our work in scanning and digitizing them, we've got about 900 designs scanned so far. When they are scanned, we then put them onto our digital design exchange platform, which forms part of our digital museum. So we are a digital museum. That way we can take all of the designs and make them available to everybody across the world. When we invite people to the studio, they can have a look at some of the memorabilia, they can have a look at some of the hand sketches where some of the designs started from, photographs, etc., from the day. It's pretty exciting, so look forward to inviting you along for that. Some of the highlights. So with the designs, they are irreplaceable. There's numerous designs. We actually have them, many of the designs are also donated to us from family members who have designs that maybe have been kept in boxes, in the garage, and say, well, look, this is part of Australian design heritage. What do we do with them? And so we look at them and we look at the artist and we evaluate them and bring them into our collection as well. So the design library will continue to grow, and it's incredibly rewarding for us to be able to have a safe place for designers and designs to be housed. And from a philanthropic perspective, it's important for us that we're actually undertaking this enormous task to save and preserve Australian design history. The way that we can do this is that we use them, or we're going to be licensing these designs in numerous creative ways from people across the world. They'll use them for soft furnishings, fabrics, wallpapers, posters, artworks, etc. Really, it's up to everyone's imagination as to what they're going to use them for. Discovered treasures. I just wanted to share this particular design with you just to give you a bit of an example of what we're uncovering. What you see on your screen now is a design called Japanese Ladies, and it was hand-drawn, hand-painted in the 1970s by one of the artists called David K. Miles. This design you can see all of the detail in there, and it's absolutely extraordinary. And you can imagine what it would have been like for us when we opened up a scroll from one of those boxes, opened it up and discovered this design. And it hasn't been seen for more than 50 years. So to be able to scan this design, digitize it, and then have it in a format that can be used across all of those different mediums for everyone to see across the world under license is basically what the business model is. We've had the collection itself valued again. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, the second valuation came in at an impressive $11.2 million. So this unique collection and the licensing thereof presents a lucrative investment opportunity in the world of design and heritage preservation. You can see this particular design here. It's called Kismet, and there's multiple layers. And the reason we know this is that every single layer is a different color. And when it's digitized, it's easy for people to be able to change any of those layers into as many different colorways as they like. And that means that they can use it in lots of different applications. So one of the highlights that I'm very, very proud to share is that when we launched the company earlier this year, one of the very first phone calls we made was to the team at Vivid Sydney and said, look what we've got. We've got Australia's largest original hand-drawn design collection, and we would love to be included in Vivid Sydney. And after many meetings with their team and showing them what we had, they also agreed that it was something that was incredibly special. And we were honoured to be having some of our designs showcased on Customs House at Vivid Sydney. I know that there are people who are outside of Sydney. So if you don't know Customs House, if you have your designs shown on at Vivid Sydney on Customs House, you're doing pretty well. It's a coveted position just after the Opera House. So we were incredibly blessed to be able to do that. And it just showed us the enormity of the design collection and what it meant to others as well. The second phone call we made was to the team at Florence Broadhurst, who own the design license for the Florence Broadhurst estate. The designs from Florence Broadhurst were originally part of the original design library, so that in itself can show you or demonstrate the value of what some of the designs are in the library. We have a fantastic relationship with the team who at Florence Broadhurst, and they've given us the license to print and produce limited edition artwork. And we also have the agency agreement. So if anybody came to us and said, hey, look, we wanted to do this, etc., we're able to extend that under the Florence Broadhurst license as well. That's actually a really big, important model, because we know that if anyone's familiar with the designs of Florence Broadhurst and that model, world famous, in restaurants, clubs, nightclubs, airports, etc., all across the world. Fashion label Kate Spade took Florence Broadhurst and did a complete range using her designs across their range for several years as well. And again, that just lends itself to showing how exciting and how diverse the designs from our library can be. We also have the endorsement of two beautiful and incredible talented Australian designers, Colette Dinigan, Australian fashion designer and author, and also Akira Izagawa, have both endorsed us and support our initiative to not only just save the designs, but also have put some of their designs in our collection so they can be used to license to the world as well. So we are also in discussions with other eminent designers from that era, and they are looking to put their designs under license with us as well. So our future. This is where it's exciting. When all of the designs have been scanned and digitized, you can see here in the middle, just on the screen, some of the different colorways that have been created. And to the right, it shows some of the different uses that people will come and say, look, I would like to use a design to put on an alcohol bottle or a fashion label or a car decal, etc. So this is where the digital design exchange comes in. So when a design has been digitized, it goes onto our digital design platform, which is formed underneath the Australian Museum of Design online museum. And people across the world will have access to these designs, and then they can select how they want to license it. And as we can see, there's going to be so many different ways, and it's pretty exciting to think what people's imaginations can come up with, to be honest. This is where our investors will be most interested, which is our licensing model. So we've also spoken to leaders in the fashion world, retail and manufacturing, just to run past them how they felt that the licensing fees would be best managed. There are lots of different ways that you can do it, and there are a lot of pitfalls as well. So for us to go out and get the expertise of lots of different people and then come up with the best model, the best practice model, this is what we've achieved so far. And what's important about this is that there's a non-exclusive stream and an exclusive stream. And when somebody license a design for more than 1 year, that fee then gets recurring income each year thereafter. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback on that one. And our goal is to offer equity in our business to potential shareholders, remembering that the collection alone is already independently valued at more than $11.2 million. And we absolutely hope that you jump on board and join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margot. That's super interesting. I'm sure we've got lots of questions coming out of that. So please, everyone, pop your questions into the Q&A box. I'll kick us off with a quick question. Now, you've already raised capital from crowdsource funding before. You brought on 137 investors. Can you share with everyone a little bit about what that journey's been like and what you've been able to do since that capital raise and achieve?
Absolutely. Great question, actually. So when we started out, we went with Birchal last year and said our number one goal was to preserve the design collection. So we started off scanning the designs, and as I said, we've got 900 designs scanned already, but we also used that money from the shareholders not only just to start scanning the designs, curating and cataloguing them. We also were very cognizant of the fact that we wanted to generate a model that was a commercial model. We are a private business, so we are for profit. And what that means is we needed to make sure that we could generate a return on investment for our shareholders. So we embarked on several different ways to generate income. We've put together the limited edition art stream. We've also put together another product, which is to sponsor a design. And we've taken these models and other licensing internationally. We found out a few things that didn't work, which I think is equally as important when you're a startup business. So we don't want to waste investor money on putting our plans into things that aren't going to work. But we took them internationally, and we've had sales from the US market and also from Asia market. I also put together an advisory board, and I think that's actually important to mention as well. So the advisory group help make decisions or help guide us along the way, so we can make sure that the money that we've got is used to best support our goals and objectives. And that's pretty much what we've done. We did say in our first year that we would like to see our designs put up on a big public display, and we ticked that box with Vivid. And that was actually out to 3.5 million people worldwide. So a big tick on that. There's just so much to say. I just keep talking about it for days.
Couldn't get a bigger tick than that, Vivid.
I know.
Customs
so
House.
excited.
Amazing. So we've got a question here from Richard. They've asked, what is the typical market practice? Are users accustomed to paying for designs, or are there sufficient free designs and images available?
It's actually a really good question. And when businesses are seeking authentic designs, they need to be able to back themselves with that as well. So, for example, we are talking to some pretty big name fashion houses, which I can't actually share the names of that due to NDAs at the moment, but they have come to us to say, look, we are looking for specific designs in a certain category from a certain era. And so they've come to us for our retro designs, and we can show them how they've been drawn, and they're able to say, well, look, they're authentic. They will then also know that they're not going to be reproduced, or anybody else can have those designs because they were found on the internet or something like that, which is pretty important.
Amazing. We've got another question here from David. They've asked, there was talk about a percentage of return on the share. What kind of dividend could be expected per year? I might just give a little bit of context for everyone who may be new to crowdsource funding, and how we run these offers as a licensed intermediary. ASIC actually takes a firm view about future projections, whether that be revenue or return on investment, and whether a company intends to pay a dividend in cash or shares will be set out in the company's dividend policy. Many companies that make a CSF offer are new, early stage or rapidly growing ventures. And this actually means many of these companies in early stages of business may not currently be profitable, or choose to reinvest any profits back into the business to fund future growth rather than paying these profits to shareholders as dividends. So for more information, please carefully review the company's constitution and the CSF offer document for information about the company's dividend policy. This will be available in a few weeks when the offers go live. And just a little bit of information, what's actually included in that offer document is at least the last financial year's financial statements. So you'll be able to get a really good idea of the history of the company and some really great insights into their strategies for the future, which Margot has given us some great insights into. So David, I hope that helps answer your question. I've got another question for you actually, Margot. With, the other funding options available to you, and we know that, you've brought on 137 investors through crowdsource funding already. Why are your crowdsource funding investors important to you? And, why are you raising for a second time with crowdsource funding?
We looked at how we wanted to raise our next part of the business. I think for savvy investors out there, they'll know that anybody can have an idea. Anybody can have an idea of a business. And if they can put a great offer document together and they can pitch it well, they may get investors from, or investment funds from, either the banks or, individual private investors, etc. That has to actually then turn into something, and it needs to grow into a next phase of the business. And we know that many businesses go out or don't survive longer than the first 2 years of their business. And so they need to be able to have a good business plan put into place. So what we decided to do was after achieving the successes that we did in our first year, by ticking all of the goals that we said we would, using that money very, very wisely and growing the business as we have, insofar as now that there are 2 more additional directors, plus our advisory board, plus we've got a team of senior managers under us as well. We also wanted to use crowdsource funding as a way to spread the word of what our business does. It's part of our marketing strategy and it's part of our business plan as well. When we have consumers, people out there who drive the demand up into the retail areas, such as, fashion houses, for example, etc., saying, oh, we want designs from the Australian Museum of Design, then that's part of our marketing strategy as well. We love the fact that we can go out to as many people, and our business is so unique. There's nothing else like it. And to offer this opportunity to Australians to get on board and own a piece of this incredibly unique business, that to me is amazing.
Awesome. And we've got another question here, great question from Lisa. They've asked, with the licensing fees menu, is this a one-off yearly payment, or does it depend on the size of the resultant sales? For example, a startup paying $4,500 for a license generating $20,000 sales versus Christian Dior paying $4,500 and generating $100 million of sales from the license?
Thanks, Lisa. Good question. Let me see if I can just go back to that on there. Basically, what we've done is you've looked at the 1 year at 4,500. So that's a grade A design from a renowned artist. So you're looking at the cream of the crop for that particular design. The designs have been broken down into grades for A, B, and C designs. And then you've also got by a renowned artist or a generic design. Again, this is something that's important to note with the designs in the collection. Back in the day, a lot of designs were drawn by artists who were just happy to have their designs selected and to be included under a design house. So their name as an artist was not always recorded, but they came in under a design house. And that opened the doors for eclectic new styles and new creative ways for design houses to actually go to market. So as a startup new business, and if you wanted a design to use for your idea, you might say, look, I might be happy with a grade C design by a renowned artist that might not have 12 layers and it might not be as detailed and, that sort of high top level. So there's lots of different entry points that you can come in at.
Amazing. And while we're on licensing fees, Amy's asked, the licensing fees seem quite low based on current stock imagery pricing. Will the fees be reviewed?
Another great question. So this is, like I said, we have actually spoken to leaders in the fashion world, retail and manufacturing. We want to make them accessible. And we don't want to outprice ourselves compared to the market. I think that's probably, from my perspective, I'd love them all to be at 50,000 minimum each, because I love them all so very much. But, when it comes to making money for the business, we have to be in a market where we can compete and let people come to us accessibly and easily. I think it was David who asked a question before about, when you've got other designs that are free on the market, we want people to come to us. So if they can come to us at an affordable price, that's great. And look, everything's open for discussion and to change in the future. Again, that's why we're very blessed to have a very sound advisory group as well, experts in their field and in the industry, and we'll always take advice. We're always growing and we're always looking for ways to improve and to be better.
Amazing. Can I just clarify there, Margot, when you've got non-exclusive and exclusive, is that to the customer? So it's an exclusive design to them, or non-exclusive means you could then use that design for another customer?
So say, Anna, you decided one day you wanted to leave Birchal and become a fashion house, or you
Who knows?
Or you might want to, start a rug manufacturing company globally, etc. And you decided that you'd like a grade B design by a renowned artist, and you'd like to make sure that that design is exclusive to you for 5 years, then you will pay us $37,500, and we will take that design off market so nobody else can use it. So it's exclusive to you, so your business is protected.
Got it. Amy has also asked, given the endless possible commercial applications, do you gatekeep the ways in which designs may be used?
Oh, what a great question. And thank you again. Awesome. Yes, we do. And it is so important because we want to make sure that the designs in the Australian Museum of Design aren't just going to be used for, ashtrays or whatever it is. That there is a level that we need to maintain with our design, and that is not just for our own business, but it's also in respect of the designs and where they've come from and the artists. In saying that, when we are under license, for example, with Colette Dinnigan, she might have one of her designs, which would be a grade A design. renowned artist. So then you'd be looking at we would be working in collaboration and saying, Colette, Anna has come to us and she wants to use one of these designs for her rug collection on an international scale. She'll say, yep, that sounds great. I'll approve that. And so when we are in collaborations with, say, some new artists such as Colette Dinnigan and some of the other ones that might be coming on in the future, it's definitely in a collaboration with them, and they get that final say. When the designs are under from our library, that's something that we also agree with internally as well. It keeps the level of the brand.
Absolutely. It's all about being on brand.
Well, but in saying that, I just want to, we're not posh about it either, I've got to say, so we're not too fancy. So, but we just want to make sure that designs are used in ways that are going to be respectful.
I think it speaks to the integrity that you've had in terms of maintaining all of these designs as well. You want to respect them and the design, and continue their display and their life. So
yes.
You've mentioned a few times overseas markets. Now, I know you've got some exciting plans for the future that you've sort of touched on. How do you see the Australian Museum of Design, and do you have any plans to take it internationally? Currently, you've got a strong focus on the Australian market. How do you see that expanding?
We know that the successful growth of AMoD is through licensing, and the Australian market is a defined market. And I think everybody in business knows that when you can go overseas, that's when you've got the real growth. So we look to go to the world's largest licensing expo, which is in Las Vegas next May. And it's there that we're going to meet some of the other retailers and manufacturers and present our designs. And there's also licensing expos in Paris for the fashion houses there. We're attending that, and also moving into the Asia market. The Asia market is very exciting because we also have somebody on the ground in Hong Kong, but also we know that their interest in historical, authentic designs and in history is something that's very dear to their hearts. And so we know that that's a great growth area for us. In saying that, we've also spent, I went to Hong Kong twice last year to meet with key government bodies in Hong Kong to talk about future exhibitions there with them, and how we can collaborate with some of the design houses there as well.
Amazing. And we've mentioned the possible commercial applications of these designs. Would Australian Museum of Design ever consider making and retailing your own products with these exclusive designs in addition to licensing?
So yes, we are absolutely currently doing that. We had to test some models that wanted to make sure we're going to work. So insofar as we have an online store which is available on our website. And on our website, you can see that you can purchase limited edition art. That's probably the highlight area of where we want to stay. Soft furnishings is obviously another part, because we have a collaboration and an alignment with a silk hand screening business. And they will produce fabrics, etc. So again, wanting to test the market insofar as cushions and wallpapers, etc. Absolutely, they're all available on our online store.
Amazing. We've got a question here from Alicia. They've said, we may have covered some questions. They were late to the call. Will we send the investment prospectus to all who've registered? From an investor perspective, are you selling units in a fund? How is the investment structured? And how do you propose to provide a return to investors? Lots of great questions there, Alicia. I'll quickly cover those for you. So the offer document is what will be released when the offer goes live in a few weeks. So if you haven't already expressed interest via the Birchal platform, you'll be first to know when that becomes available. Just for everyone's information, the offer will be open exclusively to the expression of interest list for 48 hours. So you'll be first to know and first to invest if you've registered your expression of interest. And all investors will receive fully owned ordinary shares. So more information about that will be in the offer document and on the Birchal website if you've got any questions. And in terms of how in terms of the return on investment, I did chat a little bit earlier just on how we're actually able to run these offers as a licensed intermediary by ASIC. They do take a firm view about the future projections, including return on investment. So you'll need to review the company's dividend policy, which will be set out in its constitution, that will also become available when the offer goes live. Not next week, the week after. So do keep an eye out. If you've got any questions at all, I know Margot is always at the end of the phone, so please do reach out and we can provide more information there as well.
Just one other quick thing is that we've got our open studio this Sunday. So we would love everybody to feel welcome to come along to the open studio that we have in St. Peter's. So we'll pop that in our activity up on the Birchal platform under our company profile. And we welcome you to come along to that. And you can take the time then and have a look at all of the scrolls, ask questions, have a look at the designs. We'll talk you through them, have a look at some of the memorabilia, the photos. You can see it firsthand, and it's quite magical.
Amazing. And Alicia's also asked, do you have a maximum amount of funds that we're wanting to raise? Is there a cap? Great question. The maximum will also be available when the offer goes live. We are in the expression of interest phase at the moment, which means Margot's having lots of great conversations with potential investors, and we're getting a great understanding of the interest in the offer. So that maximum target will be revealed, all will be revealed when the offer goes live shortly. So great question. We've got a little bit more time, so if anyone has any more questions, please pop them in. I have a few more questions for you, Margot, too, so I won't hog everyone else's time if there are more questions. But this is one I love asking founders. What keeps you up at night?
Well, as my team can attest, it's actually I'm up constantly, and if there is anybody that is any more passionate about a business or a project that they're involved with, I would love to meet them. Australian Museum of Design is everything to me, and I put my heart and soul into this business. I'm constantly reviewing it. I'm constantly tweaking it. I'm seeking advice. I'm looking for experts in their field. I'm looking to always grow it. It's something, I don't know if people have ever felt a passion for something in their life, that they've ever felt that it's their core part of what they want to see come to fruition. This is what it is. This is what the Australian Museum of Design is for me, and all of the protection, the cataloguing of the designs, and looking for ways to take them to the world. Could you imagine going to the studio for the first time and seeing all of this on the back wall and thinking to yourself, wow, it's here in this little studio in the back lanes of St. Peter's. This is Australian design history. And everybody around the world should be seeing these, not just people who stumble across it in the back ways of St. Peter's. So for me to be exposed to this, to have the opportunity to create this business, and to be surrounded by people who are equally as passionate, so we can take them to the world in a way that's never been done before. Look, I don't know what else is more exciting. Well, but honestly, it's thrilling to be a part of this. So what keeps me awake at night is how to make this happen in the best possible way. Also, I've got to say, we get probably 2 requests for people to volunteer a week. And I think for a business to be able to say that they get that many people wanting to come along, volunteer, to sit there and either scan or to tweak designs once they've been digitized, to do all those sorts of things, that in itself speaks volumes for the excitement and the uniqueness of what we're doing.
Well, I'm sure everyone who comes along to your open day will be fascinated to see the process of the digitization. I know there's a few insights into that in your pitch videos. If people haven't watched it, do really recommend that you have a look. It's pretty exciting. We've got a great question here from Alicia. They've asked, how do you protect the collection, e.g. moths and fire?
Sorry, I just had a frozen screen.
That's okay. So Alicia's asked, she's asked, how do you protect the collection, e.g. from moths and fire?
So the collection, it's a very good question. And that's why it's so important for us to scan and digitize them immediately. That's been our number one goal, is to make sure that we record them for history's sake, and we have digital versions of them. And the way that we scan them is in such a slow, detailed process that we capture all of the inaccuracies that only hand-drawing designs can actually produce. And you'll be able to notice that versus one of the free designs online, for example, where they're all perfect. You'll be able to see that not everything quite lines up, and when there's a repeat, it's actually a little tiny little bit different from the other one. So scanning and digitizing is our number one business goal to protect those designs.
I imagine that's painstaking work.
It's satisfying.
I bet. So David's asked, is there room for up-and-coming artists to also list with the company to add to the historical archive as well?
Yes. So part of our business model is to continually grow the library. And what our plan is for the future is to reach out to up-and-coming artists, or just artists who want their designs to be included on a worldwide platform that has this backing behind it. So we will be opening up special days in the future, whether it be once a month, etc., where artists can put their designs forward, and we'll have experts in the field who will say, okay, yes, okay, you guys have been selected, we'll pay for those designs. So that's just another way for potentially up-and-coming younger artists to get some revenue as well. But it also means that the designs in the library will always grow. Absolutely. And it's an important question, actually. And when we have experts who will be able to select those designs and say, yeah, this is a grade this is a grade that, or come back with another type of design in the future, those sorts of things.
Amazing. And I'd love to ask all of you, actually. So Margot, maybe if you could kick us off, what is your proudest moment with the company over the years? Try and pick one. I've got
to say, standing in front of Customs House with my friends and colleagues around me brought tears to my eyes. Honestly, it was a very, very surreal moment to see the designs up there and think to myself, this was a commitment that I made to the first round investors, that this is where I wanted to be. And in less than 12 months, I delivered, and it was delivered on Customs House for Vivid.
In a big way.
Boom.
Love it. Randall, do you want to go next?
There've been so many magical moments, but I think one that all three of us shared in when we had Colette Dinnigan and Akira Izugawa looking at the collection, and they were just sharing their comments. And you can imagine designers quite open, emotional people by nature. But when they saw the designs in the studio, as Margot was describing, and Colette and Akira understood the power of digitizing these iconic designs, Australian design history, and being able to take them to the world in that digital form. There was a beautiful line. Colette said if she had access to that when she was a designer, she would have been in heaven. You know, there was a beautiful comment. And then Akira said that he was quite emotional looking at the original designs. And again, the fact that people could conveniently access the designs from their home. So it was a beautiful moment observing their natural reactions to the collection and their comments about the business.
Amazing. And Emma?
Well, mine, I've probably got two if I'm allowed to have that. The first one actually predates my time with the business, and that was going to see Vivid with Margot. We went on the last night and caught the ferry over, and doing that was just so beautiful, and just sort of standing there thinking, wow, this is just unbelievable. So that would be my first one. And the second one has really just been the collaborative work that the three of us have done in preparing what we need to prepare for this capital raise. It's been really, it's been great working together, and there's been some very long days and a bit of pizza to help us through, but it's been great.
Oh, beautiful. It's certainly, it's a really fun process, and I'm sure it's been exciting for you all as well to be, you know, communicating and touching base with previous investors and, you know, potential investors through this process as well. It's eye-opening for sure. So we've got another question here from David. They've asked, what do you think the percentage of the historical designs are from Aboriginal artists?
So at this time, we don't have a big collection from Aboriginal artists in the library. However, it's interesting, isn't it, how life gets you to certain places. I actually lived in Central Australia for several years recently, and have made and forged some very, very strong connections with different communities and different groups who are also looking to get their designs from onto a platform to be digitized and also taken to the world in a respectful way. So they're conversations that are already underway. And so whilst I don't have a percentage at this time, it was very, very a standout to me that Indigenous art wasn't a big part of the existing library, and it needed to be. So it was, again, one of the very first phone calls. So that's a process that's underway already.
Amazing. That's great to hear. Now we've got a little bit of time left, everyone. So if you've got any more questions, please pop them in the chat. If there's anything else, any burning tidbits that you want to share with the team, everyone, I know we've covered a lot of ground today. So
I might just make a couple of comments. Anna, such amazing questions asked by the audience. And whilst one question was around return on investment, which we're not getting into the details of, I would like to make the comment that obviously licensing fees is a high margin business model. I'd just like to make that point. So obviously the investment funds, as Margot has explained, will help accelerate the scanning and digitizing of the extensive collection and promoting it to a global market. But once those operational things are done, the revenue streams of licensing fees are fairly high margin, which is a big positive for the business. And I did love the comment from Lisa, you know, from a small business perspective, asking her question. And the three of us all have a small business background before coming to collaborate on this project. But I think Margot and Emma and I would safely say we're revenue agnostic. We don't mind where the revenue comes from. So if a small business had a proposition around, you know, an annual fee being paid monthly as opposed to the annual fee being paid in a lump sum, of course, we're open to commercial conversations like that.
Great. We've got another question here from Richard. They've said it's a boring tech question. Richard, tech questions are not boring. They've asked, how are you protecting the digital versions from hacking or theft?
Great question, and I have the answer documented in a format that I'd love to share with you. Our server is protected by the highest grade military protection. Of course, this is our business, so we have to make sure that we've got it protected in the highest possible way. My background is digital and database marketing. So that's why when I saw these designs, I looked at them and I thought, these are all data points, it's sort of it's a language that I can speak. So the platform that we use is protected, like I said, to the highest grade. And I would love to be able to send you a document that actually has all of the different layers and security that we've got on that. So perhaps we could cover that off together.
Yeah, Richard, there's communication details that will be circulated in the Zoom event after this, but also on the Birchal platform, you can reach out directly to Margot and continue that conversation. Sounds like an interesting one. I always find
it's very good, actually, because it's the whole business, so we've got to make sure that it's protected from hacking, etc.
Absolutely. And it's never been more important than now, isn't it?
Indeed, indeed.
Wonderful. Well, I think we might wrap it up there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It's honestly such a privilege to be able to host these Q&As with our amazing founders and companies raising through Birchal and hear directly from the investors. So thank you so much for all of your time. I'll let Margot and the team wrap us up and sign us off, but have a wonderful day, everyone. And we hope to see you on another Q&A soon.
Terrific. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time. And your questions were all very valid and greatly appreciated. And don't forget that we'll be putting up our address for the Open Studio up under the activity for the business on the Birchal platform.
Absolutely. Sounds exciting. Bye, everyone.